In 1692, the small town of Salem, Massachusetts was shrouded in darkness as accusations of witchcraft cast a shadow over the cobbled streets. We visited Salem to research the witch trials and discovered pages that unlock secrets. Understanding the trials requires us to take a step back in time, uncovering the forces that drove an entire community to the brink. This journey will take us through the eyes of 3 women accused by young children of being witches. We will examine the strange spectral evidence and bizarre tests that were used to determine if someone was indeed a witch. As we explore this dark chapter in history, we'll also uncover the dramatic twist that brought the trials to a screeching halt. Join us as we travel back in time where history meets mystery, exploring one of the darkest periods in America's past. Reverend Samuel Parris's daughter Elizabeth, age 9, and niece Abigail Williams, age 11, began exhibiting strange behaviors, including hiding under furniture, barking like a dog, screaming, and crying out in pain, claiming Parris's slave Tituba had bewitched them. The girls had also been experimenting with fortune-telling methods like the Venus glass, in which they would drop an egg white into a glass of water so that a shape or symbol would appear. On one of these occasions, the girls became terrified when they saw the shape of a coffin in the glass. Their strange behaviors led Reverend Parris to call a doctor who concluded witchcraft was the cause. Soon, other impressionable girls joined the crazed chorus of contorting their bodies and becoming mute during the trials. The girls claimed invisible forces tormented them with physical symptoms like being bitten and pinched. Some also became mute, their throats choked as they tried to speak. For 9 uneasy months, paranoia and suspicion clouded Salem. The magistrates indulged their wild tales, spurring on the accusers. Many jumped on the frenzied bandwagon to save themselves. Over 150 found themselves falsely charged with witchcraft. By the end, 19 were hanged, 1 was pressed to death, and 5 died in jail, including an infant child. Fear and suspicion had consumed Salem. The first to be accused were all women who lived on the fringes of Salem's puritanical society. 3 women were taken into custody on March 1st, Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and the slave Tituba. They were all charged with witchcraft. As Sarah Good stood before the court, a sinister energy filled the room. The afflicted girls withered and shrieked at her presence, condemning her as a witch. Though Sarah Good pleaded innocence, the jurors saw only guilt. Even Sarah's daughter, Dorothy, just 4 years old, fell under suspicion. The magistrates claimed the child showed signs of the devil's influence, babbling fearfully about seeing her mother consort with Satan himself. Imprisoned in the squalor of the Salem jail, little Dorothy bent to the zealots' coercion by confessing to things that were untrue. Sarah Good steadfastly denied the charges by Tituba that she ordered her cat along with some black and yellow birds to attack the girls, causing scratches and bites. She argued her innocence and accused Tituba and Sarah Osborne of being the real witches. The court remained unmoved. Her accusers wailed as if possessed, presenting supposed evidence of her wicked spells. On the gallows, Sarah Good defiantly cursed her tormentors, screaming,
"You're a liar. I'm no more a witch than you are a wizard. If you take my life away, God will give you blood to drink."
She refused to surrender even as the ground fell away beneath her feet. Daughter, Dorothy, eventually released after her mother's death, emerged haunted from the whole experience, her childhood lost to Salem's madness. Sarah Osborne had stopped going to church due to an illness that is now suspected to be depression. This, of course, created tension within the Puritan community. She also had been dealing with legal issues against the Putnams, a prominent family in Salem. Sarah's first husband, Robert Prince, died in 1674, creating a scandal regarding the lands that were willed to his children. Sarah had remarried their indentured servant, an Irish immigrant, Alexander Osborne, and decided to keep the lands for herself, leading to a legal conflict with her own children. Captain John Putnam, the brother-in-law to her previous husband, and a man who held power within the Puritan community, was responsible for the execution of the will. There is a theory that the accusations against Sarah Osborne may have been influenced by the Putnam family, who held great power within the community. The warrant for Sarah Osborne's arrest was written on March the 1st. During her trial, she claimed she was innocent and denied being involved with the evil spirits or hurting the children. She did not confess, nor did she accuse anyone else. Osborne died in jail on May 29, 1692. At the heart of the Salem hysteria lurked a mysterious figure, the Slave Tituba, belonging to Reverend Samuel Parris, in whose household the witchcraft outbreak began. Tituba wove vivid tales of demons and fantastical creatures, claiming spectral visitors forced her to torment the afflicted girls. She was a masterful storyteller who enthralled her audience. For example, Tituba had cooked a witch cake, an unholy confection baked with the urine of the afflicted to figure out who was tormenting Betty Parris. This cake was fed to a dog who became sick. Tituba's knowledge of the ruinous recipe damned her. Though her testimony seems dubious at times, she offered a chilling confession that sparked the frenzy. Ever strategic, she implicated suspects but revealed no new names when pressed. Tituba claimed failing vision and memory when her exotic details grew thin. Her riveting account, likely coerced, cemented her pivotal role. Tituba gave her prosecutors exactly the story they craved, at great cost to truth and innocent lives. The Salem hysteria reveals the susceptibility to outlandish theories over simpler explanations. Jailed for 15 months, she was finally acquitted, the last suspect released. A special court was appointed by Governor William Phipps to answer the staggering number of accusations. The Court of Oyer and Terminer, a body of 7 judges, was created to allow the submission of spectral evidence, which had never been allowed until the witch trials in Salem. Spectral evidence was testimony in which the witnesses claimed that the witches could project themselves spiritually, either directly or with the aid of Satan, in order to harm their victims from afar. The specter of the witch would pinch, bite, or choke its victims, harassing them while the witch remained in a remote location. Its appearance might be that of the witch or of an animal acting as the witch's familiar. The court used the witnesses' testimony of these events to support a conviction for the crime of witchcraft. Accused witches faced diabolical tests devised by the clergy to expose the occult practices of the accused. These trials were derived from medieval superstitions and offered no path to exoneration. Among the most chilling was the swimming test in the murky waters of Salem Cove. Since witches were believed to have spurned the sacrament of baptism, it was thought that the water would reject their bodies and prevent them from submerging. Bound and weighted, the accused were cast into the depths. If she emerged and gasped for air, they cried, "Witch!" and dragged her to the gallows. But if the poor soul sunk beneath the waves, she was an innocent woman, meeting her end in a watery grave. For the accused in Salem, it seemed the trials would end in only a hangman's noose or the icy clutch of the sea. Accused women were stripped and examined for so-called devil marks, spots where the accused made their pact with Satan. The interrogators would search the naked body for an extra nipple known as a witch's teat, allegedly used to feed familiar spirits. We all know that any birthmark, mole, scar, or other natural blemish would be taken as the devil's mark and proof of guilt. Desperate to prove their innocence, some villagers even cut or burned off marks on their skin, only to have their wounds taken as proof of guilt. During the touch test, the supposed witch would be forced to touch the afflicted. If the so-called victim withered and cried out in pain, it was proof of their wicked powers. The Incantation Test, the accused would be made to chant and pray for the devil to lift his curse from the bewitched. Of course, any lessening of the victim's suffering was considered hard evidence of guilt. No matter the trial, the victims made sure the witch would not prevail. With guilt a foregone conclusion, the gallows awaited anyone accused in the fanatical hunts of 1692. And now comes the nail in the coffin. When accusations of witchcraft erupted, Massachusetts Bay Colony Governor William Phips found himself ensnared in the hysteria. Though he kept his distance from the trials, Phips did not restrain his officials from aggressively pursuing convictions. Chief among them was his Lieutenant Governor William Stoughton, appointed to lead the witch hunts. Stoughton took a ruthless approach, urged on by Puritan ministers to act swiftly and decisively. With Phips away, fortifying Maine, Stoughton seized control, leading to over 150 accused. At one point during the trials, he had condemned 20 souls to the gallows and ordered graves dug for 8 more accused witches in just 1 week. Returning home, Phips was horrified to find his colony in a state of madness, with his own wife now accused of witchcraft. Only then did he forbid the use of spectral evidence, clearing many slated for execution and effectively ending the witch trials. Stoughton relinquished his post, and by February 1693, Phips pardoned all remaining accused witches. By May, the last were released, finally ending Salem's relentless witch hunts. And there you have it, the chilling tale of the Salem Witch Trials and the dark forces that consumed this Puritan town. False accusations, bogus spectral evidence, and overzealous magistrates led to the deaths of 20 innocent people. If you like this video and want to hear more about the theories of what caused the witch trials, drop us a note in the comments. If you found this video intriguing, hit the subscribe button to see more fascinating historical deep dives. Let me know in the comments what other infamous moments in early American history you want me to cover next. I may just make a video on it. So click subscribe and stay tuned for more mysterious tales from the past.